Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Higher Moment Mastermind. I'm Shira Lotzar, happy to be your host with my colleague, Brent Schellinger. And we are here to answer your job search questions. So we have some regulars and faithfuls here. So who wants to kick us off? Topics, questions.
I will, because I actually have some kind of good news.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Hi. It's good to see you again. I was wondering where you were. I didn't see you at the association coffee chats, but I did get a job, and I did get offered a job. It's a really, really good job, and I've signed, and I'm going to start.
There's
However,
a however here.
yeah, 2 days ago there was another. It was not an offer. It was another opportunity to interview for closer to where I want to be and more of what I want to be in. However, it's like I now have to consider it. One, it's about a $15,000 decrease in pay from what this place is giving
Sorry.
to me.
Apologize. The other job is $15,000 decrease or increase?
The job I have not been offered is a $15,000 decrease in pay.
Decrease. Okay.
Decrease, yes. And I just don't want to. The other thing is, I just don't want any more rejection. I just want to take this one and just go with it.
Oh.
Now, it's a great job and a great opportunity. And I'm going to say that it's a contract job and they haven't renewed the contract, and the contract ends September 30th. I think what's going to happen is that they're going to renew the contract, but they need somebody in my place to be able to renew the contract.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a two-edged sword here.
Wow.
So I just, with this, it's the American Pharmacists Association job that I did not get, that I've been offered a second interview, but I just don't want to go through all of this all over again and then get another rejection. So the way I'm looking at it is that this job that I'm taking, it's at a marketing and communications firm.
Oh.
And again, it's contract work. And I told them, like, my first comment was, I don't want to work in marketing and communications. I have no intention of that. And they said, good, we don't want you in marketing and communications. We want you in accreditation because they're accredited. They're jointly accredited. So, which is a very exciting opportunity. And so anyway, I'm going to do this, but I have a feeling I may be looking again in September, sort of. A lot of things can happen in 8 months, and we'll see what happens. But I may need to be looking again, but I'm going to take that opportunity and the chance.
Good for you.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Sally. We're happy for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm happy too.
And Sally, if you I know, you dive into a new job, you spend lots of time in a new job, learning it and so forth and so on. But over 8 months, keep your network alive and well. And,
Yes.
if it does happen that you have to search for another job in 8 months, it's not, don't forget about your network in the 8 months. That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I cannot agree with that more. In fact, it's good for everybody because it's the most normal thing in the world for people who are gainfully employed to stop networking.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. In fact,
Yes.
those of us, Ty, Sally, actually all of us that are in the association world, that's funny. We're all here today in the association. So we all know what it's like, right? You go to a doctor meeting and half the people in the room are job seekers.
Yes.
People who should be there, meaning weren't there, are the gainfully employed folks. Oh, I didn't have time, right? But all of a sudden, somebody looks for a job and suddenly they're there. So keep your network up while you've got a job.
Thank you. I will do that. And I will tell you, when I was at ACMG for 5 months and life was miserable, but I was like, my boss was going to retire. And so I thought, well, I'll just not network anymore for a while because I'm sick of doing it. And then she's like, no, I'm not going to retire. And no, you're not going to get my job. And so it all worked out. And so keeping my fingers crossed that this contract will stay in place and I will have a job longer than September 30th.
All right. Well, God
Right.
bless you,
Very
Sally.
good.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
So we have a new person here, and I want to make sure that this is a person who is supposed to be here. So, Hader, you're new with us? Can you share with us? Can you turn on your video and share with us who you are and how we can help you with your job search?
She's on mute. Hader's on mute.
Yep. There you go. I had a feeling that would happen. Okay. All right.
Congrats for Sally. And, it's
Thank
one
you.
of the things I tell the people I'm networking with up front. I'm after some very specific things across a number of industries between either association and corporate environments, but I'm not doing temp to hire, contract to hire pieces because I just don't want the cycle outside of networking and the things you should be doing. I don't want the cycle of the job search kind of be there. I never have, and I never really needed that flexibility. But, I find that I have to reinforce that conversation every couple of days with somebody new that I'm networking with, because you're just getting connected to them. And so they can help you out or kind of point you in a direction or share that part of the network too. And it's been helpful. I've connected with more people in the last, say, 6 weeks of going on my 3-month process here that have led to conversations with recruiters, talent acquisition people, and the like about possible opportunities. So I know I hate the word process, but I know it is one, and just continuing to kind of keep it up with that. So
Yeah.
That's important. Well, good. Thanks for sharing your
Yes.
news, Sally.
Thank
God
you.
bless you and your
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Sally. That's awesome. I think
Thank
you're making
you.
the right move.
Yeah.
It's better to be busy than not busy.
Yes.
And when you look for that, if you're looking for the next opportunity, you have that leverage that you are gainfully employed in a contract position.
Exactly. And the
yeah,
contract it could be the contract did not pan out. I mean,
Yeah.
that could be my excuse next time.
Well, no, I don't know. It shows something. I mean, I've been out of work over a year, and the question
Wow.
is, what have you been doing? And
Yeah.
at this point, my question is, my brother passed, and maybe I've asked this before. I'm handling his affairs. How much of that should I leverage? Should I even put it on my LinkedIn that I am, quote, the as executor of the estate? And there's a lot of detailed work in there. It's not a simple will.
You could do that. You
Sure.
know that LinkedIn has a new section called Career Break. Did I show you guys that?
Oh, no.
Okay, Steve, Ty and Sally, you guys don't know about this? Let me pull this up. This is very very helpful. LinkedIn just when I say just, I mean, in the last, I don't know how long it's been, maybe 6 months or something. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull up LinkedIn. This is really interesting. This is not, whoa. Hey guys, can you try to get on LinkedIn? Something's going on here. I'm trying to get in and it's trying to make me, whoa.
I'm on.
Are you got on okay?
Yeah.
I'm in.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't recall where they're. Oh, it's in my profile, I think, if I remember this right.
Okay, this is very odd.
Yeah, I got in, Shara.
You got in okay?
Yeah.
All right, give me one
Yeah, I'm in fine too.
You are.
Yes, I am too.
This is very, very odd. Sorry, it's give me 1 sec. Oh, okay, wait, now it's working.
Yeah, it's under the experience section of
Phew, all right, everything worked again. Okay. No, meaning it wasn't letting me in LinkedIn. It was just very interesting. Okay. So now let me just share my screen here. So what you want to do is, hi Hong. So what you want to do to look at the career break, go to your editable section. Right. Oops. You go down here to experience. Okay. And what you're going to do is click on the plus sign. Now, when you see this plus sign, there's two options: add a position, which is the normal thing. Okay. Or it says career break. So Ty, this is what you want to do. You go down to select the type, see all these different things. So for you, it doesn't have executive, it has caregiving, it has bereavement. I'm not sure if which one of these, it could be bereavement. That's probably the closest. But did you, Ty, did you have to do any caregiving for your brother?
I'm new, Ty.
Very little, but
Okay.
some.
So what you could do, I don't know, does anybody have any advice here? I'm thinking bereavement.
Yeah, the only other one that, to me, that would make sense is caregiving. Even though it's,
Maybe
it's not in the present. It's for, it's in the past, but basically you're taking care of your brother's estate.
exactly. That's right.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you would do that, and then you would put the dates. So like when you started doing it, and then in the description, you would just have a whole thing. In fact, you could actually have it more than just one line, instead of just saying handling, affairs of, brother's estate after his passing. And then, you could maybe even list some of the things that you're doing, like the specific skills you've been amassing.
Well, I found out it's very detail oriented, and I got reintroduced to the legal world too, and all their terminology and that. So I'm learning a lot. Let's put it that way.
Well, that'd be another thing to put in there. An example of getting up a learning curve quickly, and
So, handling legal affairs, financial, blah blah blah. Just I make a whole description about it.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Ty, can I tell you, you can look up my friend Sally Brasse. She, Brasse, she took care of her father for 3 years. And actually she wrote something on there. It's like, I wouldn't have missed this opportunity for the world, or something like that. I have to tell you that Sally died in November, but her LinkedIn profile is still up there. And so it's actually kind of an interesting profile that she has. Because after she worked with caregiving and after her father passed away, she went into estate law. She was like not a lawyer, but like a paralegal or a secretary for an estate lawyer. And so that was kind of all part of the whole process.
Thank you.
All right. Other questions? Steve, what's going on with you?
Busier week from what I had experienced previously. A couple of reconnects on some positions, at least clarifications where one position they were hiring for multiple technical roles. They weren't ready to move forward with this, and the recruiter is transitioning to another firm. So that I discovered. The other one was much more of a, hey, I don't want to call it shifty, but definitely the recruiter doesn't have all the information kind of a scenario. They reached out, told me that there was already a candidate with an offer out, but the employer really liked me. So it was definitely a, hey, we're trying to keep a backup kind of in mind that might be a fit. So I moved into other things, had some good conversations this week. 2-3 potential opportunities, at least the recruiters are putting forward my information to see if they can secure some interviews, and they have details to them, meaning the
Ye-
employers really kind of went through and said, okay, here's how our process is going to work, what the stages are involved, and some of the whatnot. So it was a positive week overall, and just, kind of continuing to look at the market and be networking and all of that sort of thing. So
have you found any sort of, and I realize the call's recorded, so you feel free to share if you
Please.
want to.
Yeah.
Have you found any patterns around maybe why the opportunities aren't working out? Have you gotten any consistent feedback?
One conversation, well, it was one couple weeks back now, where one of the recruiting firms, I talked with the initial person. It was a good conversation. That same day I talked with the account side person, which directly interfaces with the client, the hiring managers. That was a good conversation. They put me forward to talk with them. I did, had a really good engagement, very conversational interview, but honed in on, I think he called it cab stories or car stories or whatever term you want to use. The feedback that came back was, really good interview, knows his stuff. I just need X. So it was another one of those scenarios where they were looking for something very specific.
Yeah.
And there was really no way to know that going in. Now, the funny part about that one was almost immediately after I had that interview with the hiring manager, I happened to notice, because I check as part of my process and I get alerts about different openings that come up. And I saw a director of IT infrastructure, and the language used was almost identical to the one for the position I had just talked about. So I contacted the recruiter that posted it, because I am connected with him. And I asked about it, and he said, sure enough, it's the same organization. So the hiring manager was not only hiring for the role I talked about, but either in that last week or last few days had taken the second of 3, let's call them leadership positions in that department, and was going to market for that. So he had a basket full of crazy going on. And I'm not quite sure if that was a point at where he was thinking about reorganizing, or really didn't know kind of, where he wanted to take that process. So that was the one that I did. The others were pretty much in their infancy stages relative to communication when I'm jumping into them. So what I am finding is I'm having to be, and I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, I'm having to be very specific with the conversations I'm having with recruiters and companies directly, specific to what they're really trying to get out of the role. And you ask that very professionally, and there's ways to engage that conversation. And I'm asking specifically about financial viability of, okay, help me, help paint the picture for me of, you're going to market, but you're also kind of pursuing these major initiatives. And when I hear certain things, like if somebody says database upgrade, or we're changing systems, I know from my experience in history, there's a certain cost buy-in to do that. There's, various transition costs, software, this, that, and the other. So I'm asking those questions up front to say, help me understand, you want to go to market for this position, you're doing this over here, and I can do my own research on the company, kind of economics and where they're at to a point. But I want to hear it from them that they believe they're viable and can support the position they're hiring for, lest I'm out of a job and back in this in a year, because that's essentially my last role. I went into it knowing they had just recapitalized under new ownership, and there was no strategic planning for it. I don't know how much due diligence they did, but we found significant investments they were going to have to make. And as such, our COO, myself, and a handful of others were, eliminated as part of that. So I'm much more specious. Is there a pattern? It's tough to say. I am targeting similar, kind of industries and markets and manager director roles and the like. Even the association role that I went for, I had somebody connect me in, and I did get a call about doing an initial interview with that. And the day of, they pulled the interview because they had gotten to a final candidate offer stage. So it's timing too. I think it's a mix of different things, which can be, a little deflating, but doesn't stop the process.
Yeah, it just occurs to me that, you're a real strategic thinker, Steve, right? And you're very inquisitive, and you're a guy who wants to know. And so it really seems to me like you need a place that's going to appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? That isn't going to be put off by that. Who's
Yeah.
going to say, oh, wow, we need that strategery here.
Yeah, and you
really
would hope every position to an extent would want that. I mean, I'm very candid with folks to say, look, if you have if I'm an IT manager, let's say, and you have a director or VP or C-suite level person that's running strategy, as long as I'm in the conversation before you hand me something and say, go do this, and I've got direct reports that now all have to buy in,
Mhm.
I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be, I've always said this to people, technology is more about people and customers than it is about the technology itself. You can take
Right.
a not perfect technology solution and really make it work successfully, but you have to be open to that. And I don't know that that's the easiest thing for technology driven folks in this side of the industry to do, but I'm comfortable with it. But that comes from 20 plus years of learning.
That's a unique kind of a place, Steve. And that's part of why I was asking you if you've seen any patterns, because I can imagine that the kinds of questions that you ask them are
Yeah.
very thoughtful, pointed, strategic, maybe a little challenging to them. Really, it's kind of how you're wired, right? You're just the guy who wants to do it right, and you're very inquisitive, right? You're very
Well,
curious.
There's a cost to doing it wrong.
Well, that's it. And it has to be an organization that gets that,
Yeah.
appreciates that. It's going to let you be who you are, and it's
Yeah.
going to value that.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
You might be intimidating the hiring manager.
Good.
Exactly.
And,
Well, but
if-
that's it.
and
It's
No,
if so,
very,
then that's
very
not a place
likely
you want to work anyways.
Well, no, Vern's not wrong. And again, it comes from that developing of rapport and developing the relationships with the hiring managers and with the people that are involved to say, look, we may have had a similar title at some point in my career. I may be going for this role, and titles are what they are, and there's an importance, but to me, I'm more interested in what are you after? How is this going to help company or association X? What's the deliverables? Where can I make that difference? And that's what really excites me. And and I approach it from there. So
Steve, and I know this is a group call, right? So we're not going
yes,
to
please.
do a whole like half-hour deep dive, but I just want to plant a seed. I don't know if you've thought about this before. I'm actually happy to have a quick offline chat with you about this, but I got to tell you, Steve, you're sounding more and more like a consultant to me. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. The way you think, the kind of advice that you give is respected when the person hires somebody as a consultant, more so even than as a W-2 employee, right? Because they're hiring you engaging you for your expertise, and you're supposed to be the one to say, have you thought, and be insightful, right?
Right.
I just want to plant that seed just in case that resonates with you to maybe go on your own.
Yeah, and sure, I may contact you offline and we could continue that a little bit more further, because I've worked for they call them managed service providers. So think
Right.
if you
The
don't
MSPs.
Yeah. I hate acronyms, but they're apropos. I've worked at one. When I came back to Wisconsin, I worked for one so I could get more hands-on skills refreshed. So I understand the methodology. There is some appeal to it. So yeah, I'll connect with you offline and we can
Please.
get further.
Yeah, happy to give you a little advice there.
Sure.
All right, Kelly, you're back. I thought that you got an offer, got a job.
Well, first of all, late night last night, I had to speak at an event. Then I got caught up in the Maryland win last night, beating number 3 Purdue, and got my job offer on Tuesday. Got on Monday, finalized on Tuesday, and I start March 1st. I'm going to be working for a small MSP.
Really, literally?
Yeah, come on, man.
Hysterical.
You can't make this stuff up in life.
That's
Come on,
so
Shira.
funny.
And it's how it's funny is Kevin Conifee, runs the IPG group, and this lady reached out to him and goes, I got the perfect guy for you. And he called me. I sent a connection to her on LinkedIn, and a half an hour later we were talking, and half an hour later he goes, I'm giving you a job. I said, okay. And had my friend look at the social, the terms and conditions. My friend's a lawyer. He looked at their non-compete and all that stuff, and goes, Kelly, take the freaking job and shut up, because they had something about my social media I think they're supposed they're gonna take it over or something like that. I go, I can't do that. I've got 18,500 people. Because Kelly, just take the job. We're not gonna take your social media. Just shut up and be quiet. Take the job. And he's my AA sponsor too. And so I started on March 1st, and it's just I was ready to start working again because my knee got rehab and all that stuff. I got a little setback the other day because I went back to the gym and started working out, lifting weights. I'm doing squats at 45 pounds at each. And you're not supposed to do that when you just replace your knee. But you know what? Hey, I'm a hard head. But the thing is though, it's hard work and being prepared. And when someone calls you, you get on it right away. I had my questions, everything prepared, but I just had a conversation with people, and that's what it was. And again, I'm not doing background. When Kevin says you're good, I'm good. Have a nice day.
Well,
And
and
I'm
I
sure
think
I'm
the
sorry.
thing, Kelly, and I appreciate that, because actually I think everybody on this call, I think, or maybe most people on this call, are in other kinds of networking groups regularly, right? Really important to do that. Look, Kelly, you said, you got referred by Kevin through CNM, right?
Yeah, correct.
Because
Yes.
you're a regular attendee. He knows you.
Yeah.
Right? You're a regular attendee here. We know you, right? Like all the folks on this call, you guys have been with us for a while. We can recommend you. I mean, we haven't worked with you, right? But we can at least say, hey, we got somebody, because you're a regular attendee. So absolutely keep attending, whether it's job seeker groups, other kinds of networking groups, get your name out there, make sure people know you so that when opportunities come up, they can be in a better position to refer you.
And Kevin said you always help out other people. Like one time we were on a call and this lady was looking for a Wamata. Goes, well, let me see if I know any Wamata. So I'm half listening. I wonder, I know someone, and I connected the guy, and the lady in the meeting, the guy talked on the phone while in the meeting. And then an interview.
Kelly, actually, I want to call you out on that, because you are such a wonderful connector, right? When you see somebody who needs help, you run after it. Like that's who you are. That's how God's made you, and it's just a blessing to people. And I just want to actually, encourage everyone else on this call to be like that, right? When you see somebody who's in need, make a connection, make a referral, lend a hand, right? Like we all need help. And so we all want to be, what's called go-givers, right? Not go-takers. So I just want to, acknowledge you, Kelly, and thank you for all the wonderful referrals that you make to people.
And I'm overwhelmed right now with with the medical stuff. My son's sick, having some challenges again, as you all know. But and I had a little setback with my knee. But you know what? I said, oh well, life goes on, move on. And the thing is, though, money, I get some overdue bills and all that stuff, and it'll take care of itself. But the thing is, though, I didn't go to the Maryland game last night because I had made a commitment to speak at a group. And all of a sudden, this guy gets on the thing. He goes, "Hey, I know you're a Maryland fan. I got 2 tickets for next Wednesday. On me, have an idea. I'll send the parking." I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And the athletic director at Maryland, I saw with the Maryland game a couple weeks ago, about 2 months ago, and said, "I sent you an email about tickets for the UCLA." He goes, "I'm sorry. Send me an email, and I'll get you tickets on me." I sent him an email. All of a sudden, I'm getting 3 tickets for the last game.
Yeah, it's good.
You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up.
It's always a good thing. So thank you, Kelly, for.
I don't mean to ram on, but I just say, anybody in these Hollywood squares, go out of your way, get out of that comfort zone to help people out, because they'll come back to you tenfold, period, in life. So anyway.
Kelly,
Yes.
what
Yes.
you said it was an MSP that you're going to be working for?
Yes.
What is that?
It's called a managed service provider.
Okay.
So the managed service provider is a consulting firm, or I don't know if it's a consulting firm. It's a technology company where small companies will hire the MSP to do all their technology background, from the help desk, the engineering, the servers, all that kind of stuff. And so, so the people who work at the MSP are usually IT people, but then you might have a salesperson like a Kelly, COO, that kind of stuff, and they're often small.
And they're really considered surrogate CIOs or IT directors, but also some of these big companies will hire them too, because sometimes they're just overwhelmed and they need help. So and she's a startup company. September they're a franchise, and she said, "I'm looking for someone that can get in the door, do all that stuff, and you have a little bit of IT background. I can teach you more. I just need someone that has no comfort zone to go call and prospect." I said, "Listen, I got the CIA putting guns at me one time cold calling, and I went out and cold called the next day, and like life goes on." So, it's just, you have fun in life, and just, I can't emphasize this much. As long as you have trust in the Lord and God, you can get through anything in life, period. And trust me, I am living proof.
Yes.
And anyway, I mean, that's what it is. So as you know, sure, I could talk all day long, but I need to shut up because that's my biggest downfall is I like to talk too much. But I just, you know,
Kelly,
I'll
we
share what
we appreciate
Okay,
you
yeah,
very, very
okay.
much. And we're so
Okay.
glad that you've got this new job. Thank you for coming back.
And I
And
make you guys smile and laugh. That's what life's all about.
yeah.
Okay, shut up now, Kelly.
All right, Hong, it's good to see you. Do you want to share any job search questions with us?
It's very difficult to look, and I'm targeting and I'm doing my networking, like contact my previous co-worker and my friend. When I sent back the email to them, I said I'm looking for a job. Here's my link on my LinkedIn, and can you forward to someone if there's an opening? Can you talk it out for me? So I'm doing my marketing.
Good.
It's not easy, but I have to ask.
So is there anything that we can help you with in terms of your networking?
I'm just listening. Like
Okay.
did you talk about the gap? So I'm going to change on my LinkedIn. Like I almost off work for 2 years, so I think maybe I have to change that. Like I've been like a caregiver too, so on the gap.
Yeah.
I might put in like volunteer work and
Yeah.
caregiving.
Exactly. I would absolutely do that to let people, especially the volunteer work.
Yeah, I'm doing volunteer work too, so okay, I put it in then. Okay, thank you.
Was Hong on the call when you showed the?
Yep,
the
she
LinkedIn?
had just jumped on when
Yeah, I
we
saw
Yeah,
that.
okay,
LinkedIn.
all right.
Good. Any other topics? Even not a question, but just maybe a deep dive topic that Vern and I can get into on job search?
Mm,
Resumes, interviews, networking.
yeah, resume. I saw. I don't know, like, what is the best method for resume? Like, put in highlight your experience or your skill. Like,
Right.
what are you standing in the resume?
Yeah. See, we haven't talked about resumes in quite a while. So I'm happy to go there for a minute here. So I'll give you a high level and then Vern, do you deal in resumes? I don't even remember.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
Okay, got it. So I'll give my opinion on it. Vern, you can give your opinion, and then I'll go ahead and share a sample of the resume because I am a resume writer. I'm happy to share a sample with you. So my philosophy about resumes is that you want to have a resume that is very compelling to the recruiter. Okay. It should not just be a laundry list of your experiences. This needs to be a resume that is tailored for the job. That's the first thing. And I cannot emphasize that to you enough, because when recruiters scan resumes and literally they scan them, they don't read them, 2.5 seconds, boom, done. They need to see what they need to see. They have a job description, you've got qualifications, and they're trying to match it up fast, very, very, very fast. So the resume has to be clean. It has to be focused and tailored on the keywords that line up with the job description. And the very first thing, and again, this is my opinion, I'll stand by this one. Every resume writer's got a different opinion. Mine is that your resume is like an advertising document. The most important thing needs to be up top. And the most important thing, Han, is what I call your career title. Your career title frames the resume, and it tells the recruiter in 2 seconds, this is what I'm looking for. Now, you're not saying, this is what I'm looking for, but by putting a title in, you're saying that that's what you're looking for. So in a case like Ty, it would be something like, well, I think, what did we say? Like customer service professional or association customers, or so member relations professional, that kind of thing. You know, Steve, it's going to be some version of an IT leader, whatever. Or Kelly, you know, some sort of, you know, business development or sales professional. The point is that it's a career title, and it lets people know quickly. Now, I want to give you a very practical example. And this is a little bit interesting because I realize, you know, all of us on this call are of a certain age. Okay, right? We all share similar generation. And I've recently recruited somebody. She's still an active candidate. And she's very much of a certain age, okay, to such a place where she's actually taking Social Security. She happened to mention that to me. Of course, I did not ask her. And I say that because she has had a very, very high level career. She's been a vice president of marketing, executive level, fine, lovely, and a beautiful resume, well designed. The job she's applying for, meaning with my client, is for a manager level marketing role, specifically doing content, what's called content development, which is just writing, okay? Much lower level. Tai, I know you would appreciate those. Much lower level than her experience call for. So I got her resume and I didn't just screen her out, but I wrote her and I said, hi. I said, I noticed that your background is vice president, blah, 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 right? And this is only a content development role. It has none of the rest of what you've done. She goes, no, no, no. She goes, that's what I'm looking for. I really just want to focus in on this lower level stuff. Well, I said, okay, fine. And I interviewed her. And sure enough, she goes, look, I don't want to be vice president anymore. I'm a writer at heart. I love this kind of fine. Here's the thing though. I said to her, you understand that the resume that you sent me says right at the top, vice president of marketing. It wasn't even just her title. It was her career title. The heading of the whole thing said vice president of marketing. Everything she had in there was all this fancy strategic executive level. I said, do you realize that's overqualifying you for jobs like that you're applying for? I happened to take the effort to talk to you about this. And I said, most recruiters are going to skim right by you. She goes, oh, I didn't realize. I said, you got to pare this thing way down. And of course, you can't change your job titles, obviously, but you can de-emphasize this executive level, and you can, say that what you're looking for. So my point, though, to all of you is that when you are doing your resume, right, it's very important that you understand this is your brand. The employer is going to read into this. The first thing they're going to see is that career headline. Does that match up with the kind of job that we are applying for, or that you're applying for, right? And if not, that means that you have something to overcome. And in fact, you might need to not even get the chance to overcome it because they're just going to screen you out. Okay. So I want you to just sort of be aware of that. And before I share my, and then the other thing I want to mention is that you want to not only have, it's important to not just have job duties, you want to have accomplishments. Okay. So accomplishments are really where it's at. And the way that I do my resumes is I have, we write accomplishment stories, and then we label each of those stories with a competency that lines up with the job. Now, you might have a master resume that just has competencies that relate to the things you want to do. But after you have that master resume, then everything needs to be customized. So you start with the master, take those key competencies, and then tailor them, every word, to the job description. And the way I like to talk about it is like synonyms, So like, what's the real difference between an event planner and a meeting planner? Well, there is a difference. They'll tell you, a real meeting planner will tell you, but for all intents and purposes, they're very similar skills. So if you said event planning and they said meeting planning, you need to say meeting planning, that kind of thing. And the other thing too, is every one of your stories probably has a lot of skills, competencies baked into it. So what you can do is, let's say you have 5 different competencies in that story. You can go look at that job description and say, oh, well, I labeled it operational efficiency, but really what they're looking for in this job is process improvement. I've got process improvement in there. So I'm going to relabel the story to process improvement. Okay. So you would pull out the competencies that match the job. So that's a very high level thing. I could go on. We could talk about length of resume and all these things, and we could have a whole hour-long conversation, but those are a few of the tips. Vern, do you have anything you wanted to share?
No, I'll just, nothing to add, because everything Shira just said, I completely agree with. Let me give you an example of, Shira said job duties versus accomplishments. So I've read a number of resumes in my career. And so I've seen resumes where it says Director of HR is the title. And the bullet points say responsible for recruiting, responsible for benefits and compensation, responsible for, those are job duties, okay? And I'm looking at that and I'm saying, you're the director of HR. I would really expect you to be responsible for recruiting and compensation and benefits and whatever else comes under HR. Of course, you're responsible for it. You're the director of HR. It's absolutely wasted space, and it doesn't communicate anything. It doesn't help you convince that hiring manager or the recruiter that you're right for the position. So I just emphasized what, Shira said about accomplishments. Director of HR versus recruited 80 people within a 6-month period and have retained 82% of these people over the last 3 years. That says you can recruit people and you retain people for the organization. Much more powerful statement.
Exactly right. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and show you the sample resume. This is what I use when I do resume writing for folks, and it's just it's very clean and easy on the eye, and I wanted to share with you. You notice here, it emphasizes the career headline that I was talking about. It's very clean and it's very pointed. Now, in this particular case, there's 2 things going on in this headline. Number one, it's got the title, right? Meaning like the lane of the person, marketing communications. But it also has the person's community, their sector, which is nonprofit. If you are the kind of person that happens to have a sectoral expertise, very, very helpful to put that in your career title. You're a healthcare IT executive. You are a commercial real estate, operations, like whatever. If you have a sectoral expertise, you may not, and that's fine. And if you didn't, you can be more generic about it. And you can just say, like here, marketing communications leader. But putting this in the top can be very helpful. Here, I have a text box that has key competencies, but if you notice here, the key competencies are labeled, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, okay? So you have specific accomplishment stories, right? And here is the label that maps back up to the text box. And notice these are very detailed accomplishment stories, okay? They're not just like a one-liner. They're actually 2, 3, even 4 lines. You can get away with that if you have, if you have a label. If there were no labels, I want you to see what would happen. Let's say there were no labels here. And you had these very long stories. Look, you wouldn't even be able to read it. It just is wah, wah, wah. Do you see that? You see what I'm saying? It would just be like a whole bunch of paragraphs. If you're going to have detailed stories, you need to have labels. It helps break up the page, and it helps the recruiter focus specifically in on the keywords. All right. Then if they see the keywords that they like and those keywords map back to the job description, then they can read the story if they want to. But people first, and recruiters have no time. They're going to go do a very quick scan. They're going to look at the top. They're going to say literally this happens in 2.5 seconds. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. They're going to look at the title. Are they right for it? They're going to see the keywords. They're going to see the kind of organizations that you work for. Boom, 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 done. They're not going to waste their time. But if you only have bullets without labels, it's really hard for them to understand what the competencies are, because it's just going to get lost in there. Okay. So I just wanted to share that to you real fast. Hong, is that helpful?
Yeah, very good.
Hey, Hong, this is
for
Kelly.
me,
Hey, Hong, I give you a suggestion. I'd set up a one-on-one with Shira. And if you really need help with the resume, she's the bomb. It might be a good investment for you to have her maybe help you do your resume. And she helps a lot of people, and trust me, I've twice I've looking for jobs, and I've gone to all these little workshops. She is the expert, and I'm not just saying this to blow her up, smoke up, she is very good. So I do a one-on-one with her, and then maybe have her do your resume, and you'll get into some doors, and she's the master. So.
Well, thank you, Kelly. Look, there's lots of ways to do this. I'd be happy to, support you, Hong. But really, I just want everybody on this call to understand that your resume needs to appeal to recruiters in the way that they like to read resumes. Yeah. And nobody really knows how to write a resume. Like, why would you know how to do that, right? You're not a professional job seeker, thankfully. And it's very hard to understand how recruiters think if you're not a recruiter, which I happen to be, and Vern has obviously done a lot of recruiting too. And so when you talk to somebody who's been on that side, you're going to get their lens, which will help you to tailor your resume.
And
That's the problem with me too. I want to apply for the job, but I know my resume like not good enough, so I lack of a confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to have a strong resume that'll actually showcase the skills that you do have. And again, how they relate. Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
lost my train of thought.
Oh, that's okay. Hopefully we get it back. Ty?
Uh,
One thing I have to say is every resume that I send out gets customized. I look at the job description
Yep.
and I will look to see if there are any keywords that I can put in there. In some cases that apply, if it applies directly, I will just copy those words in there and put it in there. I'm not going to put something in there that's untruthful, but if it applies, I will take it and use their terminology.
So important.
Yeah, I was just gonna add on to Ty's. So I'm 3 months in, probably 2.5 months ago, I made the conscious decision to say, hey, I'm going to spend a limited amount of money, and it's not much. It's about $1 a day to use something like JobScan. So I get the benefits of saying, I have a process. Every ad that I look at, I am customizing for that. There's nothing disingenuous. I tweak wording, some phrasing here and there. I keep it accomplishment based rather than functionality or responsibility based. And I'm able to scan to, against, and we don't have to get down the road of ATS compliance, things like that, but I'm scanning ahead of time to say, okay, I'm matching in most cases high 80s, low 90s or better. So I know I'm doing as much as I can with what my experience shows against what they're telling me they want. And then matching the same thing inside of cover letters and the same. So it's a contiguous story of saying, here is why I am your candidate for this role. Here's what I bring to the table. And hopefully it leads to more interviews. I definitely this week's engagement that I talked about earlier really came from 2 specific postings that I put in for on Sunday night. So it does work, and it's really critical to be able to get that point to say, you're not just firing these things off blind. You're not just hitting easy apply and letting it take it. You're really putting thought into what they're kind of shelling out there. And also for your own edification, is this a company or association I want to be working for? So it does work.
And in addition to the tailoring, which we talk about a lot here, is this idea of, getting somebody to champion your candidacy internally. Because if you just go with the job boards, you're just one of 50, 100, 200 people, right? And you get lost in the sauce. But when you can find somebody internally who can flag your resume to the hiring manager or to the CEO or to the recruiter, it helps. I mean, you go past the competition, right? Because you're actually getting noticed and you're not just a piece of paper anymore. You're somebody who somebody else knows and trusts, which is exactly how Kelly got his job, right? So it's hugely important. Kelly.
Yeah, and Steve, we're an accountability group, and there's 2 companies Steve was looking for, and I went on while we were talking. There's one company, 3 people. I sent them all LinkedIn messages. Another one, actually, one of them, I went to church with them. And the other person, I didn't know the person, but we went to the same school. So I sent her a LinkedIn request and said, by the way, can you help out a friend of mine who's looking for a job? So I don't know what happened, Steve, but you know what? It's worth a shot. It takes me 3 minutes to type a message and be done with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's huge. It's
Yeah.
pretty huge.
Okay.
So, all right. Anyone else? Fern, did you remember what you were going to say?
no.
it sucks getting all done to Vern.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions, things that we can address for you guys? Oh, by the way, I'm not sure when I ever talk about the other groups, but are you all familiar with JCA, the Career Gateway? Ty, I know you are. You are, Kelly. Hong, are you familiar with them? So JCA, let me just try to see if I can pull up the, give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up
Their course.
their
This
course.
fall, yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah,
So
let me-
much.
I'm gonna pull this up for you, and because they do have one. They have them regularly. So it's called the Career Gateway. I'm going to put this in the chat.
I highly recommend it. It's
Yeah.
it's awesome. It's a short period of time. I think it only lasts over 2 weeks, and it doesn't meet every day. So
Yeah, it meets,
maybe-
it's over a week, about a week and a half. It's a week's worth of time. So it's like a Monday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
Friday, Monday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
something like that, all day long. It's specifically geared to the 50+ community. It's
Yeah.
only $75. It is
Okay.
run by a woman named Dr. Elise Barnes, and she's an expert in job search, and she gives, terrific advice. I happen to lead the LinkedIn advanced training on the second Monday, but they have, I think, different speakers, right? That come in to
Yes.
talk about different things.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And they
highly-
review your resume too.
Oh, will they? Okay, that's great. And the other thing is, the JCA also has a job search fair. In fact, they've got one coming up oh, it's today. Oh goodness, like right now. Ha.
Boom.
Okay, so it's gonna be, let me just see here. You could jump off and jump on for them. Goodness, this is not opening up for me very well. Give me one sec. JCA virtual job fair. So I think it's like a 10 to 2.
10 to 2. Yes.
It's a 10 to 2, and here's the link.
Lady's name is Jody that runs it too.
Jody Rash is
Yeah,
the
She's awesome.
she oversees it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's right now it's called the Northern Virginia Expo,
And they have one in Montgomery County too.
Montgomery County, but because it's virtual, it's all, kind of the
Yeah.
same. And actually
Well,
this
no,
is,
they actually have Pacific people in Montgomery for hiring it. They have a little thing
Yeah.
after two. Yeah.
yeah. So go to the second link, Hong, okay? So after this call, which we're gonna wrap up soon, you can jump on if you like. All right, anything else before we close out? All right. Well, I wish everybody a very blessed day, and if you'd like to stay on for the prayer call, you're certainly welcome to do so. And look forward to seeing you all next week. All right. God
Take
bless.
care.